Hey, what is going on, you guys? My name is Rayge, and we are back today with a long overdue roster review of where my account's sitting now, especially with it being almost 3 years. So I can show you guys the achievement dates later on after this, but just want to start this off with my player profile here. You can see 17 million total collection power, with my strongest team being 1,032,000. As well, keep in mind, guys, I am 100% free to play. I've never put a single dollar into this game. You know, as you know from my channel, running the channel now for the last couple years, really it's just been kind of me being able to maximize resource management in the game to the utmost. You can see that evidently with my power cores and gold. It's never really kind of faded away. I've been really smart with my investing and management. So yeah, I want to show you guys my full roster. That way you can get a sense of, hey, like for a 3-year player, 100% free to play, you know, which characters ultimately kind of make it to the end game in terms of being invested in and finding value. So you can see 1,054 days, so just a little bit over 1,050, close to that 3-year mark upcoming here. But I figured make this video because it's been long overdue. The last time I did this was definitely months ago, so it's really good to kind of get a quick update. I think my combat power has actually grown by a few million ever since, but I mean, overall, I'm planning to go through a deep dive of my roster characters, so that way you can see pretty much how everyone's leveled up. Arena meta, haven't really invested or done anything in here for quite a long time now. I've been comfortable, actually, for pretty much the entirety of this year with this. Once Darkhold came out, and then especially Rogue, this team has defensively been pretty good for me. Maybe I'm just in a better arena bracket in the 3-year mark there, but it's been pretty good. I just, you know, taking in the rewards here, which is essentially 150 per day. I could push for 21 to 50, but I found when I was there before, I actually would need to arena each day, and this is nice because there's times where I don't even go in and play arena and I'm still at this spot, so it's kind of nice just to have that flexibility and not have to worry about the course constantly being battled for. Right now, 100% in raids for everything with the exception of Doom 3.4. This is kind of what we're doing right now, 60% daily, and it's been pretty good. Our alliance has been super competitive. We don't actually have a lot of turnover, which is nice. Wars, I'm not that heavily involved in war, as you'll see in the roster review of my characters, but I mean, generally we can win, you know, 2 out of 3 wars every week, and even with me having a mediocre war roster, Cosmic Crucible has been something that's new this year, and I generally find some pretty good successes here. I can show you guys my defense, but overall, I'm usually 3rd or 4th place, usually in this middle bracket with the 2 wins. So I got a win here, as you can see. But let me show you guys my defense, so that way you can get a sense of kind of what's in the meta for me right now. As well as I guess this gives you a sneak peek of my roster. But yeah, got a bunch of legendaries in the far right, followed by my Gamma. Unlimited X-Men team has been phenomenal in Cosmic Crucible. This team is pretty much undefeated for me. I've never actually had an enemy, even when they're punching down on me with their Unlimited X-Men mirror matching, it's just so many of the benefits coming from these rooms that just help out so much, and I found that this one has been a really good one for me. My Web Warriors combined with Spider Weaver has been good. My Darkhold team in the standard room has been good. Same with my Astonishing X-Men. So all that's been really, really good. Blitzing, same old, same old. You just try to combine as much teams as you can to go through and increase your maximal rotation. So I mean, I'll show you some sample teams, but generally I like to use like a couple characters or one powerful one to kind of carry the match, and then it allows me to be able to kind of carry the round and keep blitz wins going. So I mean, very rarely will you see the full team synergy of a team, just because 1 or 2 characters, such as like I broke up my symbiotes where Carnage and Symbiote Spider-Man can carry 3 weaker allies, excuse me. And then yeah, generally they've been really, really good and kind of just making sure that I get the wins, especially with the blitz events nowadays. The wins matter more than the overall score, and that's why I kind of built it like that as a sample reference. Let me know if you guys are curious on that. I can make another video entirely just breaking down my blitz teams, but I figured that's not really going to be the highlight here. It's really going to be going through and taking a look at my full roster here in terms of what you can expect, especially from a 3-year player, and which characters I have invested in these last 3 years and have been meaningful, which ones have been invested in but not been used anymore. So generally at the very start here, I always add a heart to the characters I'm building right now. Magneto and Psylocke both being part of that Death Seed meta, likely going to be the new raid team that we're going to see in Doom. That's why I already started investing in them, and you'll see why later, because most of the other teams I have already built up. And keep in mind, guys, I'm 100% free to play, and I've still been able to kind of gear manage effectively to bring all these teams up to the meta. Even like, a character as powerful as Morgan Le Fay, released this year, already maxed her out and got the 5 red on her. I could save up the elites, the credits dark promotion to boost her to the 6 red, but I mean, honestly, I think pushing them up to 5 red's more important, especially for the other legendary horsemen that I don't have maximized. Otherwise, yeah, I guess I'll just start top down here, guys, and characters that I see that are part of synergy rosters, and I highly recommend. So Thor, wasn't my intention to get him to 7 red, but I mean, overall, it was really nice to utilize his skills in their most recent Scourge with Red Hulk. The Heroes as Guardians was absolutely so powerful, especially with him being kind of the core of that team and really applying damage. Overall, still a good team in war and being able to kind of assist where needed, but I just got lucky with the 7 red, so that's why he's built up as high as he is, and I did want to capitalize that in the War Scourge as well. Ghost Spider, Miles Morales, part of that Web Warriors meta, they're needed for Doom Raid, so I mean, they're built up naturally, but you also need them as well for the Famine Scourge, and they also help out just all across the board throughout the entire game. You can see that they have the bonuses too right now in Cosmic Crucible, specifically for those select rooms, right? So really good. Some of the top end characters you'll see are going to be part of either the Scourge teams or the Doom Raids, right? And that's why you'll see a lot of them like Castro, Squirrel Girl, Captain Sam, part of the Secret Avengers. I mean, they're all part of the meta in terms of the Doom Raids, or they're using Scourges. So that's why you'll see a lot of them kind of higher up, and that's why they are the way they are, right? Dr. Doom, a staple in the game, absolute. Used in all game modes, very powerful, especially in the Scourge events when you are able to use him. He's absolutely huge for the heal. I also brought it on for Dark Dimension 5. Cloak, again too. Dark Dimension 5, brought him as one of my first 5 characters. Really huge, and as well being able to have all those negative conditions, absolutely beautiful. We got part of the Unlimited X-Men all starting out here as well. Rogue, being in my opinion, either the second most important or third most important legendary horseman, just given her potent abilities. And you saw her, she was on my defense right now for Arena, and she's really good because she can kind of set the tone for the start of battle, especially given how powerful her special is. America Chavez, you're going to see characters like Chavez, Miss Marvel up here as well, because part of that Young Avengers meta with Squirrel Girl being needed in the Scourge event, but as well, they're a really good war team as well, and defensively for Cosmic Crucible, they have value as well. So all across the board, really good. Every character you see right now that I've shown so far is quite relevant, which is really nice. It's nice that, the most powerful characters on my roster are actually relevant in the game and used every day. Omega Red, he's not used every day, but he's absolutely one of the most powerful legendaries in the game. I used him in Dark Dimension 5. He's used almost in every Scourge that I can think of. And as well, just his skills and abilities make him a very versatile character. Absolutely huge in this list. His unlock is kind of brutal though, because you do need Nick Fury built up in order to unlock him. But I mean, otherwise, still really huge character. Jubilee, this is the one where I have to kind of argue that her value may be losing dividends now because of that new Death Seed team coming. She's higher right now in my roster, but I feel like if you guys haven't built her up yet, once Death Seed comes out, she's a character that you may potentially consider skipping just because you may not need her anymore. But that's because of her team losing the value there, right? Shuri with the reworks of the Condens, and then we're also going to need potentially her in the next Scourge, being the Death Scourge. Her value is going to keep going up. So I love how accessible Shuri is. We see Sharon Carter prepare part of that, again, the Secret Avengers. Hulk, yeah, I mean, this is a really big one. I should be upgrading him to the utmost, but the Gamma team, right, needed for the unlock of Apocalypse as well. So the Gamma team overall, you're going to see all of them actually higher up because I have been working on them. But I mean, yeah, all these characters really good, guys. Then you'll finally start seeing some other ones that kind of break away from the mold. Breaking away from Scourge and the Doom Raids is like, remnants of the Infinity Watch. Who am I referring to here? Gamora, Phyla-Vell, we got Nebula. All these characters were really good because they were part of that top Infinity Watch team meta, right? And in my opinion, I still think they're a really good team to build and invest in. They're still a top 5 team in the game. They can do a lot. They can take down a lot of teams in the game. The only thing is now that we have to be aware of all the Doom raids and as well as Scourges, I think they can still provide value, that transition from early to mid game, getting you kind of to the end game. But would I go all out and bring a Gamora to Gear Tillo 15 and level 80? That's where it's gonna get kind of dependent, right, on your gear material and so forth, because these characters are gonna need a lot. Especially Adam Warlock is a very costly character, and he's part of this Infinity Watch meta as well. And then you got some other stragglers here that I kind of want to talk about. Cersei and Icarus, without a doubt, they're still a top 5 team in the game. Just the dynamic duo of their potent abilities. They're still in arena meta. They're going to be relevant for a very long time given their unique skill set, especially with her now being farmable in the villain's hard difficulty. Darkhold, like I mentioned earlier, Morgan Le Fay, them being part of the arena meta, they're going to be here for a long time, especially with them being a requirement in the Scourges, the Unlock of Apocalypse. Who I don't recommend now, part of this this bigger list here of characters in my top end roster is going to be the symbiotes. Anti-Venom, we see Spider-Man symbiote, they're no longer relevant. They were previously used in Dark Dimension for myself, and I brought them up naturally, thinking that they would have future staying value, but not the case, especially with Web Warriors now existing, especially being needed for the Doom raids. And then Lady Deathstrike, she's a straggler because, Weapon X is good, but I actually haven't built them up because, like I said, my focus is not war, but she was built up because of Dark Dimension 5, and she does have synergy with Omega Red, so that's kind of nice that she's built up. But you're going to see the rest of my roster, the rest of them are not that high. Cloak and Dagger, that combination I originally used in Doom raids, but then later on, they were replaced obviously by Darkhold, and now we even have the Eternals even used for that too. So I don't know if I'll ever push her to Gear Tier 16 because I never brought her to Dark Dimension 5, but I mean, got the gear material for it. It is what it is. I mentioned Adam Warlock earlier, part of that Infinity Watch team. More symbiotes here being Carnage, right? We see him. Scientist Supreme, I was kind of working with her to build up a tech team before, and that's why she's as high as she is, but not that much value earlier on, especially now that we have Bionic Avengers. And speaking of which, that's actually one of the few characters we see here. Vision is one of my highest ones just because I built him up. I think it's because he has the 5 red as well. And then scrolling down here, we see aspects of Young Avengers, aspects of the symbiotes, Secret Avengers, Maria Hill, Ebony Maw, and I got really lucky with him when I got the 6 red, so that's why he's built up as high as he is. I even brought him to Dark Dimension 5 as well, but then, Dark Dimension 4, but then quickly realized that he was just way too expensive for his skill set, and given his long cooldown, it just doesn't really work without the Black Order in existence. So he's still a really strong character, but not worth it anymore because they're not part of the meta, and Black Order isn't really even in the top 10 team in my opinion anymore. They're basically just there for fluff, right? Emma Frost is actually surprisingly still relevant in the arena meta when you can utilize her skill set. But I mean, overall, her Marauders team has been reworked quite a bit of times now, and yeah, still a good character overall because you can use her in other game modes. A very strong supportive character. It's gonna be interesting because with the Death Skirt coming, and we saw that there's non-legendary mutants, she is one of the few characters that can cleanse. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting if we can bring her on board to try it out. But yeah, naturally her and Mr. Sinister were higher because I brought them previously into Dark Dimension. We got Iron Man here, part of Bionic Avengers, and then this is kind of where you start seeing some of the more characters I wouldn't recommend building anymore, unless you're kind of focused on a specific meta or they were a result of past metas that used to be relevant. So one would be, like Phoenix. You can still use the Uncanny X-Men in war. They're a decent team for war, but I mean, overall, other than that, I wouldn't technically recommend her. I did actually bring up Phoenix for Dark Dimension 4, but then realized after that point, wasn't worth it because we get some really powerful legendary characters that we can utilize, like Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, and now most recently Red Hulk, right? Silver Surfer. Used to be a very, very powerful character when he came out. I actually loved using him in the Gambit raids because he was just one of the few that we could use when we were doing clubs, and still a strong character overall if you don't have other characters. But I think he can help a lot with the mid-game transition to end game. But otherwise, I don't really use him outside of anything else, other than that transition. And he's a good plug and play character when your other characters fall, potentially the Scourges. But otherwise, not a character I'd recommend over the other cosmic characters that we have already in our arsenal. And then Hela, she got reworked this year as well. She got some buffs, and especially the combination with Zombie Iron Man. So that was actually huge. Now they're a really top offense war team, so I mean that's huge overall for her future use and playability. So I do like that aspect. That was a big one for sure. We got Proxima Midnight here being part of Black Order, so not a big deal. Yeah, and then other aspects of the Astonishing X-Men that we saw, right? So we got Iceman, Bishop here, Dr. Octopus. I really like him when he first came out. You need him actually built up for Nor Heist, but otherwise I don't honestly use him in any other game mode. He's good in war if you have his Sinister 16 built up, but they're not really a top 10 war team either. So, you know, honestly, he was invested in previously because of the usage in Dark Dimension 4, but ever since then, haven't really actively used him much. Web Warriors, symbiotes again with Venom. Agatha Harkness, part of the Dark Code. We get Moondragon here again, part of the Infinity Watch. A new character this year in being Spireweaver. I am trying to bring her up. Actually, I should be starring her because we're going to need her for Apocalypse, and I can bring her up higher for sure. One of the best characters right now, as well as a standalone in the game. And then otherwise, we're just going to see some aspects here where it starts tailing off, right? Mr. Sinister again, Dark Dimension 4, and then otherwise never used them afterwards. We got the as Heroes as Guardians that I utilized in the War Scourge. Kate Bishop, part of Young Avengers. Just gotta keep farming her shards, right? Now that she's farmable in the game. And then, yeah, we start seeing some of the Gamma here because they are the team I have been working on. She-Hulk, you know, Abomination. Yeah, and then other ones that I don't really talk about too often, actually, we passed by earlier. Star-Lord, T'Challa, Yondu. That part of that Ravagers rework, they're really good for war, but I mean, I don't have my Ravager minions built up. That might be later on in this case with the Death Scourge coming out, right? So, and then otherwise, Black Bolt, wouldn't recommend, to be honest, guys. He's pretty costly. I think the reason why I have him as high as I have him right now, tier 14, level 75, was there was a pocket dimension where I utilized his skills with Yo-Yo. But otherwise, haven't used them since, guys. I am also currently working on Wakandans like Black Panther, but I don't know if I'm using them as part of the Death Scourge yet. So that's kind of why I haven't added the heart. I kind of need to see more information and see how that's going to look. Ghost, again, is only as high up as she is because of the fact that she was used in Dark Dimension 4. But otherwise, guys, after this 118k, 115k mark, it's pretty much the tail end of my roster because Black Widow, previously Dark Dimension 4, like I said, if it wasn't for raids, if it wasn't for, you know, specifically arena meta or being involved in the end game, usually it was just the one and done with Dark Dimension 5, and then afterwards, not too much going on, right? So afterwards, you can see these are kind of like the characters I have them with lower shards here, but they are still part of the meta, like Braun and, you know, Dazzler being part of those Scourge teams that are needed for Apocalypse. I got a Koye here that I'm considering and bringing the next Scourge, and then it really falls off quite quickly here because you can see it's very obvious that I don't care and plan to invest in these characters unless something changes in the future for them. But these are all the characters that I would recommend just bringing them up to gear tier level 12, maybe stopping at level 70 or maybe 71 depending on if you can use them. But otherwise, like, not too many uses for these guys, and bulk of them being minions, bulk of them being, like, you know, legendary unlocks like the Sinister Six or Spider-Verse, and afterwards they don't really have a use, right? Zombie Iron Man, you know, he is the exception, given how powerful his offensive war capabilities are with Hela. That is a team I should probably consider building. So you know what, I'm gonna add a heart there because I totally forgot about that. But otherwise, guys, this is pretty much the tail end of my roster, so not too much going on here. And this is probably what's allowed me kind of to maximize my materials. I kind of know what I need and what I don't need, and it's allowed me to build a very quality roster that's allowed me to pretty much unlock every aspect of the game, and including I'm on track to unlock Apocalypse, no issues whatsoever, right? Even with them throwing that minion X factor for us, it is what it is. 2 nodes. I'm gonna have to probably just invest in a couple of minions just to make sure that I can get through it, but not the end of the world. But, you know, having smart and effective gear management really was the difference maker for me, guys. So there you have it. Feel free to slow down the footage, if that helps you in kind of seeing which characters you're looking for and how high I built them. But if it wasn't any of the characters I talked about, chances are I probably didn't invest in them from that scrolling. So let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. I'm curious if you guys have a similar kind of roster built up. Also ideas, right? I know there are some teams I still need to work on, but at the end of the day, I think I'm going to focus on the Scourge first, as well as character requirements for Apocalypse, followed up then by the valuable ones that we do need for raids, such as Death Seed. We know that the bulk of the rewards comes from doing raids, so that's why my focus is always raids first, and then Scourge second, and then followed by the other game modes. Let me know what you think, guys. Thank you as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.